A retrospective is an excellent way to bring your team together after a sprint and to prepare them for the next one. It can also be used to improve specific processes or find solutions to problems. By the end of this video, you will be able to use the 6 steps here. 6 steps I'm about to share in your next sprint retrospective or any type of retrospective that you plan to do to ensure that it's super effective and captivating. First off, for those who don't know, the goal of a retrospective or retro is to reflect on the past to improve the future. Anyone can facilitate or run a retrospective, but it's usually the Scrum Master. If you're using the Agile Scrum methodology, it's usually the Scrum Master that facilitates the sprint retro. The very first step to a captivating retro is starting with an icebreaker. Super underrated, but extremely valuable, especially in this day and age where most people are doing remote retro sessions because they are working from home. The objective of an icebreaker is to get everyone to talk at least once in the meeting. This needs to be done early. Please start your session, every session that you do, with an icebreaker to get everyone involved and talking at the beginning of a meeting, because when someone talks, they are way more likely to talk again in the meeting. And a retro session is not for one person. Everyone in the team needs to be involved in the retro session to have a captivating and successful retro session. Here you have tons of options to pick from running a game, playing a little game, 10 minutes game, to asking some simple questions. When starting out, if it's your first icebreaker, I suggest starting with a question. Ask a simple question, something like, you're stuck in a zombie apocalypse. Which 2 famous people, living or dead, do you want to team up with to survive, and why? Second question, if you had to choose a famous person to narrate the story of your life, who would you pick? Another one to use, if you could go back in time for any moment in history, what would you choose? Another one, if you could ask aliens any questions, what would it be? You get the idea. You can use any one of these for your next retro session. Just ask the question. Keep it light, very fun, playful, and let everyone talk. Remember the goal. Everyone needs to talk at least once at the beginning of a session. Shouldn't take more than 5 minutes. Step number 2, set the stage and focus for your retrospective. Why are you having this retro? Are you trying to solve a specific problem, optimize a process, improve something within the team, anything? You need to know what is the goal. Why are you having this retro? Maybe you're using the Agile methodology and it's the end of a sprint where you do the sprint retro. What's the goal? Why are you having this retro? Going into the retro with a specific stage and focus will ensure that it naturally flows. Everyone will have a focus in mind when finding solutions to problems or improvements or anything. When everyone has a focus, you are more likely to meet the goal of a retro, because every retro needs to have a goal, something that you're trying to improve, to solve. It can be anything. Now, you might not know what's the goal of a session. What are we trying to achieve in this session? That's totally fine. No one cares what you think. You are the facilitator of a session. You should help the team and the session flow naturally. You shouldn't tell people what to do. So what you need to do right now is ask the team, what does an effective session look like? What are we trying to get as output for the session? What they want to gain from this session? Ask everyone. Make sure that everyone is involved. And shut up. Don't talk. Let them talk. Step number 3 is to have a theme for the retro. You have tons of options here. Just do a Google search. Tons of options to pick from. Just pick one that you like, that you want to experiment with. If you're running a physical retro, like face-to-face retro, you should at least have a board or something to stick sticky notes on. Even the wall or like a window or anything that you can stick on. If you're running a remote session, tons of applications available online that will make it easy to run retros. I use easyretro.io, quite easy to use, and it's free. Next is to pick the questions, and that's related to the goal of a retro. What are you trying to achieve with this retro? If you're focusing on a process change, you can use the format start, stop, and continue. Basically, our 3 columns: start, stop, and continue, and tell people to fill in, add cards, sticky notes to these columns. Start is basically things that we want to experiment with, new ideas, things that might improve a process that you're focusing on. Remember, focusing on a process change. Stop are things that are related to the process that you need to stop. The team needs to stop doing. Doesn't work. Continue are things that we are doing really well, that we want to continue doing, and might even, if we have some improvements. We are doing something right now, it's going very well, but we want to improve something, add something new. Tell them to add it in this column. If you want to focus on improving performance and commitment of a team, you can use the mad, sad, and glad format. 3 questions. Mad are simply things that can be avoided, should have been avoided, could be avoided. Sad are things that couldn't be avoided. And glad are things that helped us reach the goal of a sprint or any other goal that you're trying to achieve as a team. Step number 4 is where you let them do the work. So you already set the stage, the focus, the theme. Everything is on a physical board or a remote board, like a remote application. You have the columns, the questions. Let them fill in all the columns with the cards. Set a timer, 5-10 minutes, and give their time. Silence work. Let them fill in the board. Think of something, reflect on what happened, and reflect on how to improve. If you notice when one of the columns on the board is getting significantly less feedback compared to the other columns, you can shift the focus. No one is blocking you from asking questions during the timer. There's no rule that everyone should remain silent. So shift the focus. If you're using the format start, stop, continue, and you notice that the stop column empty, 6 minutes in. Shift the focus. Ask more questions to help them reflect and think about things to add to this column. You can ask the question, what happened? What happened during the previous sprint? What issues we encountered during the previous sprint? Could we stop doing something in the future so that these issues don't happen again? What are we doing on a daily basis? What are you doing on a day-to-day that is unproductive, inefficient, but we need to stop doing right now to be better in the future sprints? And a cool tip is that sometimes people need at least 1 card in the column to get the ball rolling. So if you're a facilitator of this session, you shouldn't be involved in adding cards and all that, because you're facilitating the session. You should remain unbiased by all that. But to get the ball rolling, why not add a card? You can do it. If you think of something which should be added in the stop column, why not do it? Just add the card, and this will get the ball rolling. Step number 5 is to let the team vote. Voting on the most important things, on the most important cards that we want to talk about in this session. We usually give 3 votes per person. If you're doing this session remotely, a remote retro, and you're using an application like easyretro.io, we already have a mechanism for voting, and it's completely anonymous. If you're running a physical session, way more entertaining, way more fun. Tell everyone, come closer next to the sticky notes. Take a marker and then put a little dot next to the things that they want to talk about. 3 votes per person. Most important things will be talked about in priority. Well, most important by the thing that gets the most votes. But the problem with this is it's not anonymous. Even though everyone will get involved, it's really fun, but it's not anonymous. If you want a secret ballot style thing where you remain anonymous for a physical retro face-to-face, you can just tell people, write down their votes on a piece of paper. Then you take all the pieces of paper as a facilitator, you shuffle them, and you start tally. You tally the votes, and you sort everything on the board to make sure that the top priority things with the most votes are on top. Step number 6, we are now at the fun zone, the fun part, the entertaining part, the part where the actual discussion will take place, where people will talk to each other, debate each other, find improvements, shout at each other. The part I enjoy the most. And this is usually where the facilitator shines with his or her facilitation skills. So if you haven't sorted the cards already, most votes on top, do it right now, and you can start the discussion. Once the cards are sorted, take the card with the most votes, read it, and ask the question. Can the person who wrote that give more context if the card is not clear, or if it's clear, just tell anyone. What do you think about this code? Can we do something? Is there an action item that can be done with this code? And let people talk. Let them talk. You're here to redirect the conversation. If someone is talking too much, maybe you can tell them, okay, let someone else talk. If someone raises their hand and wants to talk, maybe tell them, okay, jump in the discussion. Make sure that we focus. The focus is on the code itself, and the focus is on action. What action do we need to take? Remember the goal. The goal of a ritual is to find action items to improve, and you can't improve without action. So let people talk until they come up. You don't come up. They come up with the actions, and you capture these actions, and you just ask the team, does anyone want to add something to these actions? Does anyone see it differently? And you wait. You let them talk again. If everyone agrees with these actions, the actions that we want to take, to improve, to experiment with, find someone who will be accountable, owner of this action. Doesn't mean that the person needs to do it. The person just needs to be accountable, just needs to make sure that someone else does it, needs to follow up on that. Ask the question, who wants to be the owner responsible for this item? And someone will usually say, okay, I can own this item. And you capture that. And you do that for each and every card in order of the card getting the most votes on top until the ritual is basically over with like 5 minutes or 10 minutes left. That's it. The ritual is done. Super simple. Make sure that you capture these items and you store them, because in the next ritual session, you should start the ritual session with telling them, these were the previous ritual session actions. Where are we at? Can we close these items? Well, we done with these items. You follow up with the items, and that's it. That's your first ritual. Congratulations. You should have a captivating and effective ritual. And if you have time and if you have a method to capture their feedback, please capture their feedback. Tell the team at the end of a ritual session, thank them for joining, thank them for their input, and tell them, I want to improve. Please tell me what or how can I improve? And you just end the session. If you want more tips, insights on Agile Scrum, personal growth, click on the video that stands out the most on the screen right now, and I'll see you in a few seconds.